Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. My name is Gail Snyder. I'm the Executive Director for Dementia Friendly Fort Worth, and we are proud to offer this program with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and United Way of Tarrant County. Today is Artful Moments with Peggy Spear from Amon Carter Museum of American Art, and we are talking about mountains. Peggy?
All right. Thanks, Gail. All right, let me pull it up. All right, well, you guys were talking about chilly weather, I think, when I joined in. And then we were talking about those bears. And we're going to open it up with a little bear.
There it is. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't meet his demise to be a can of grease, but here we are.
Yeah.
All right, so what do we see?
Mountains and a river.
Mountains and a river.
A
Dead
valley.
tree.
In a
Trees.
valley with trees.
Beautiful
valley.
picture.
Trees.
The sun.
Pretty rustic area because you can see the rocks coming out of the ground at different angles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard someone say the sun.
Sun,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's in the title, but what time of day are we?
Like
It's morning.
sunset.
Sunrise. It's kind of a hazy sunrise.
Yeah, you know how in valleys sometimes that cloud kind of settles, that fog sets in.
Reminds me of
do
the
you
Smoky
think it might be?
Mountains.
What time of year do y'all think it might be?
I don't know. The trees, some of the trees that have leaves on them don't look like they're brown. But
I'd say probably summer, into summer.
yes, into summer, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say summer, end of summer, because another thing, you guys pointed out the trees, but there's no snow.
No snow, yeah.
No snow on the mountain.
Snow melt. So the snow melt had already happened. The water does look pretty high, so it could even be earlier summer, right after that snow melt has happened.
It does look, though, if you look on the right-hand side, it looks like they had a forest fire going through it. Because those trees are very thin. They're kind of sparse compared to the other ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
It looks more like a forest fire.
It could be a forest fire. It could also be beetle kill.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens where these beetles will eat trees and end up killing them.
So what did you say? Did you say beetles? Is that what you said, Peggy?
Yeah, that's like it can be a real problem. I know in the Rocky Mountains, that's a big issue. When I lived up in Denver, you could tell areas that were just completely wiped out by beetle kill. They weren't scorched, they weren't black, but they were obviously dead. So that was attributed to beetle.
I don't know if you remember, but this last year that there was a beetle infestation in Tarrant County.
Oh, really?
And so I think it was with the elm trees.
Yeah.
And so, like, I live in Tarrant County, but I'm right on the border of Grand Prairie.
Yeah.
So my trash pickup is Grand Prairie, but they couldn't pick up any tree limbs.
Huh.
They had to have specials so they could only to a Tarrant County
Oh, wow.
dump, you know.
Oh, how
So
interesting.
there's only special times is a month where they come by and pick up tree limbs.
Oh,
'Cause
wow.
they couldn't go into the Grand Prairie landfills because it was Dallas County.
Huh. Interesting.
The counties are really funny about that line, and it's a squiggly line too.
It is, yeah. It really is, because it's really, you know, of course I live right on the lake. And so the lake is part of the lake is a dividing line. You know.
Which lake is it, Steve?
It's Joe Pool.
Joe Pool, okay. Yeah.
So part of Joe Pool is in Tarrant County, and part of it is in Dallas County.
Okay.
So did we decide that this was summer or spring?
Probably more like summer, because there doesn't seem to be any snow melt, or the snow seems to have melted completely. There's no cap on any of the mountains that we're seeing here, at least on that looks like the south face of it.
The little tree on the left is probably dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
It looks to be.
Yeah.
So have any of you heard, the artist's name is Albert Beardstock. Have any of you heard of him before?
No,
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so
I love
he was a very well-known, and still is, a very well-known landscape painter. And he was painting, he was born in 1830 and died in 1902. And he was actually German, Prussia. He immigrated to the United States. And then he went back and forth between, he lived in Dusseldorf for a while and did painting there. And then he came back to the United States. And he trained under the artist Thomas Cole, which maybe you've heard of the artist Thomas Cole. He was really well known for his landscape paintings as well. Well, Thomas Cole created, and this was not named until after the fact, I mean, hindsight's always 2020. They named this style of painting that we're seeing here called Hudson River School. Have any of you heard that term before?
Yes.
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 Yeah, so it was really popular in the mid to 1870, the 1800s. And it was sort of this, what kind of feeling do you have when you look at this painting?
Peace. It's very peaceful.
yeah, peace, tranquil,
Very
tranquility.
peaceful, pretty. What did you say, Martha?
Quiet.
What? Yes,
Yeah.
like a serene feeling, pretty romanticized.
Yeah.
That glow, that illumination is very hallmark for this style of painting. It looks completely untouched by human.
Mhm.
It's very wild feeling, which was also a hallmark. There didn't seem to be often the hand of human in, or human civilization in a lot of these. Cole would often include maybe some mowed down trees in the front, as a way of nodding like, well, industrialization is happening and this pristine landscape is going away, but right now we have it kind of vibe. So this is very much how Beardstock was painting. He was, people have commented on this particular painting. Critics have said that this almost looks like an El Dorado, but it's actually real. He himself said about Yosemite, he loved Yosemite. And he himself said that he felt like he was actually in the Garden of Eden when he was in this part of the country.
Mhm.
And so because these paintings were wildly popular, especially back east, because he was portraying the West. And so many people back east were never making it to this part of the country. So they were almost falsely seeing what the West looks like, because the West was very much changing at this time, 1870s. So because though Yosemite was very near and dear to Beardstock's heart, he was creating these paintings that were being seen on the East Coast. He helped actually make Yosemite become the first national park in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
So it was paintings like these that really helped the government support this notion to protect lands in the country.
Did he work with Teddy Roosevelt?
I don't know. I know he worked for the US government at different points with maybe different geological surveys, but I don't know. I have not read anything on whatever presidents were in term. But yeah, Roosevelt was the one that started making national parks. So
Yes.
maybe not directly with Roosevelt, but his work was going through the government and making it to Roosevelt, and then maybe in a chain of events.
Awesome. Morning, Miss Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Good morning.
Morning. So,
So Peggy, can I ask you a question?
mhm.
So do we have any idea which area of Yosemite this is in?
You know, I was looking in our files and through different, and I couldn't find exactly what face of what mountain this was, but it is the valley, Yosemite Valley. So I've
Yeah.
never been to Yosemite, so
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
sure if there's an area within the park that's actually called Yosemite Valley. So I don't know. But these were actual places throughout what is the park that he depicted. None of this was, while it looks romanticized, none of it was actually he created out of his mind. It's all true places in that area.
Okay. given the time that he's painting these, it's amazing. He makes these paintings, and he makes a lot of them, I guess, and he transports them somehow without damaging them.
I know, it always fascinates me, especially when we're going to look at a lot of photographs. Some of these artists were working on glass plates, and
Oh wow, yeah.
you're like, how does this even,
So how big is this? How big is this? Do you know how big is this, Peggy?
I got you. Yeah, it's 36 inches high, roughly, and a little over 52 inches wide.
Wow.
And it's in a very kind of gaudy gold frame to really highlight that the grandeur and the beauty of the land.
Peggy, I just did a Google of Yosemite Valley, and it says the valley is 7.5 miles long and 3,000 to 3,500 feet deep, surrounded by high granite summits. So this could be anywhere along the 7.5 miles.
Cool. Thank you for looking that up, Martha. That's great.
You're
So
welcome.
I don't know what granite. So this is granite that we're looking at, I guess, and it looks very craggy.
Yes.
Very, not something you'd be easily able to summit yourself.
No.
And so he was not painting in plein air. He would go, he was in San Francisco, and I think it was 1863. Then he traveled out to Yosemite, and then he would go back to his studio and paint. He was not painting this in the valley at that time. All right, so we're going to keep with Yosemite. So we're going to go to our next. Make sure, okay. We're going to go to this next artwork. Does anyone know what this type of artwork card is called?
A stereograph?
Yep.
Theory.
A stereograph. And so how do you look at a stereograph?
It's almost like a viewfinder type of thing.
You look through a stereo viewer.
Right.
So these cards, what we're looking at, another location in Yosemite Falls from Glacier Point Trail. So what do you see here that's very different from the painting we just saw?
Well, it's black and white.
It's black and white, yeah. The medium is very different.
It has people in it, which is a big part.
Yeah, people.
Is that
And
Bridal
horses.
Veil Falls?
It looks like Bridal Veil Falls, but it's Yosemite Falls. We have pictures in our collection of Bridal Falls, actually, but that I didn't pull those for this. So what you would do with the stereo viewer is, okay, so people would go to all of these tourist spots. Yosemite, it has been a park now. It's 1901. It's been a park. There's been tours devised, things like that. So you can go to basically the gift shop and you can pick yourself up one of these stereo viewers. And so then people would buy them and you would drop them in this area back here. And you would look through here and you would see almost a 3D image of what the scene is. Now the photos to us look almost absolutely identical, but they're different just
They're
enough.
not, yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
They're not the same because the viewpoint, if you look at it from the left and the right, there's more of the exposed of the person on the horse on the left. And there's somebody else exposed on the right.
Right.
Or something else exposed on the right, yeah.
It's shades of difference, but there are differences. So then when you look at them through that viewfinder, it creates the people on horses almost look three-dimensional, and you're looking back at this scene.
This was the predecessor of the Viewmaster.
Like the viewfinder.
The viewfinder. This is the predecessor, yeah.
Yeah, and this was a very popular way teachers would teach in school. This was a very popular way that people would share their trips, sort of like, we would maybe watch videos from people on their trips. People would come back with these cards and then show their friends and family, so they were able to, kind of walk them through their trip. And people would collect these. So this was, people might collect postcards. People would collect these viewfinders or these stereographs.
Mhm.
So this was a really popular way, particularly of the West, that East Coasters could then enjoy the mountains from home. They didn't have to hop on their horse and hike up the trail. So yeah, so we're seeing this is another Yosemite. And then on the back, there's some information about the what we're actually seeing on the front. And so it's in multiple languages because again, these people would be coming from all over the world, especially when the national parks started opening. This was a real destination for travelers from other countries. So multiple languages, all listed on the back.
Sweet.
So now we're going to see, this is one more Yosemite Valley. But this, you know, this is a different view. It's similar in that we don't see people, similar to that painting. And this particular person, this is just, you know, another cool picture of a mountain and a
Looks like an elephant.
waterfall. But what's cool is, or interesting about this particular photographer, in the 15 years between 1870 and I want to say it's 1886 or 1885, he changed his company so many different times, his logos, his partners, things like that. That was always different. So you might find something from him made 3 years later and it looks totally different. But the words on this side over here, the American scenery or whatever it says, it's covered up because you guys are on my camera right now.
American scenery.
Yeah.
Photograph.
That was always there. That always stayed the same. So that was the only thing of all his years that traced his or linked all his work together. But again, it was the same thing. He would sell these in pop-up shops or gift stores so then people could take a little bit of their trip home with them to share with family and friends or use in schools and things like that. So Yosemite Valley is very, very popular topic for these types of cards or for mountain depiction and things like that. So many things in our collection are Yosemite Valley, just as so many things in our collection are the Rocky Mountains.
Rocky Mountains, yes. Courier
So
and
we've seen some
Ives.
stuff from Courier and Ives before. What are we seeing in this particular print?
Are those bison?
Yes.
Bison above.
Looked like a cross between a bison and a wolf.
Kind of
A
does.
bison, a wolf,
Lion.
kind of looks like a lion. Did someone say lion?
Or
Mhm.
lion. Yeah, that's what I should have said.
So that's good eye that you picked that out because this particular artist, we don't know who individually was the one that created this, but it was very common that artists who were depicting Rocky Mountain scenes had never made it out to the Rocky Mountains. And so they were using people's written accounts to draw things like buffalo. So this is what the person envisioned when he was reading the account of what a buffalo looked like.
Well, he got it partially right.
I mean, you knew what it was,
Yeah.
but we see that it was painted in sometime between 1872, printed and then painted in 1872 to 74. And we're seeing a massive buffalo herd. Well, this, my friends, by the time that this would have been painted, buffalo were on the massive, massive, massive decline.
Yeah.
And so I think some historians account by 1893, there were only 300 buffalo left in the United States.
Wow.
So by 1872, Manifest Destiny was well underway, and American Indians were being placed on reservations. The Wild West, the buffalo roaming free, did not look like this.
You said manifest destiny, and obviously that means something. Can you give me a thumbnail of what that means?
Sure, it was this push from the US government that everything from sea to shining sea was the United States. So it was this running the railroads from coast to coast. It was popping up cities, industrializing and taming the entire country, which was then the massive destruction of American Indian nations, the massive destruction of the earth itself. So this idea, that manifest destiny is what.
Yeah,
What-
they said it was, for better, lack of a better word, God's will. It would go from ocean to ocean.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
It was the right. So in that right, they destroyed a lot of what America was actually at that time. So
Peggy, thank you so much, Peggy. I'm gonna have to leave. I've got another Zoom coming up.
cool. All right.
Thank
Steve,
you so
Okay.
much for this. This is great.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.
See you tomorrow
All
for.
right, we'll see everybody tomorrow.
Bye. Good. Bye. Sleepy friend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So Peggy, this mountain range
Oh.
is an imaginary one, is that correct?
He might have had a particular part of the Rockies in mind, but it would be him drawing it from a verbal account. So it's not, I don't know what summit that mountain might be. I don't know what river or lake that might be. So no, it's just generic Rocky Mountains.
Got it. Okay.
And so this was printed too on black and white, and then someone would go in and hand color
Hmm.
the greens and the reds and the yellows and things like that.
Hmm.
All right, so we're in the Rocky Mountains. Mostly the Rocky Mountains in our collection, at least, really focus on the areas in the Colorado, in the state of Colorado into Wyoming. And so here, this is Mount Abram. This is in Ouray, right near Ouray, Colorado.
Yep.
And so this is a postcard. So very similar to those stereographs that we're looking. This was, again, created with the intent to either collect or mail to a friend that, hey, look where I was, that kind of sharing your journey without those who are with you.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we see here?
Somebody made a road.
Yeah.
That's
Doesn't that make
amazing.
you nervous thinking?
That does
Yes.
make me nervous, Peggy, right?
Well, I've driven on roads in Colorado that the only difference is they're blacktop, but they're still right along the edge of a cliff.
No
So-
guardrail. Good luck.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wonder if they piled up dirt or if they cut dirt out.
Probably both along the way.
Probably both in
Yeah.
different places. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and this looks like
Looks like stone.
carriage. You can see
Like
these
rocks falling down.
ruts,
Mm-hmm.
carriage and wagons, things like that. And then right here it says 5811 Mount Abram. It looks like this might be the elevation.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
Get down from there.
And then here would be summit. What time of year do you guys think this might be?
It could be. It's not winter,
Not you're right.
so it could be
Oh,
fall or
Well-
late summer.
It's
Hard to
Really-
tell black and white.
It is hard to tell. We can tell there's a snow cap.
Yeah.
But it fades quickly. I don't think you'd want to downhill ski this
Okay,
bad boy.
oh.
You hit dirt pretty quickly. And then it looks to be a lot of, this could be result of some sort of forest fire because you can see a lot of the
Right.
dead tree.
Or a landslide.
A landslide, right,
Yeah.
right, totally. But it looks dry. It doesn't look like it had freshly snowed or anything like that. So it could be
oops.
early fall when there's always that dusting that starts to creep in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is you high enough?
So this is kind of fun though. So Henry Jackson was well known for taking photographs of Colorado's really, but the West. But he ended up living in Denver and did a lot of pictures that when Denver was becoming a more of a bigger city. He took a lot of pictures as the city grew. But during this time, he was engaged in a big project in the city of Denver, but he would go out to the mountains and take pictures of the Rocky Mountains and create postcards out of them. And so this is what the back of the postcard looks like. And the writing in it says, here I transcribed it, property of Katie Lacombe, Sagosh, I don't know how to say it, Sagush, Colorado, picture about 1884, taken near Ouray, question mark. So he would take these pictures and then sell them down. He had a storefront down in Denver, and you could, I'm sure he had them distributed other places, but you could buy them in his storefront after your visit to Colorado.
There's some tiny printing in the corner. Is that something that the Amon Carter would have added?
Yeah, that's what we call the accession number. And so P means it's a photograph. And we acquired it in 1976. And this was the 43rd object we acquired that year. And this might have been given as part of a bigger bunch of gifts. And so that was the 65th object in what is the larger object of 43.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's always kind of fun when you can see the back, when you can see the inscription of something. And then, yeah, that little pencil is for our housekeeping. So we don't mix it up with another postcard.
So Peggy,
Mhm.
it says aluminum silver
Come here, baby.
plate,
Uh-huh.
aluminum silver print.
Mhm.
So what's the process does it take to go from this to a postcard? Because
So it's just a printing process.
okay,
You would just print on different paper. You wouldn't necessarily print on photographic paper.
okay.
But you would still have to probably expose it to chemicals and things like that. So I've got my trusty notebook of how different prints work. Okay, so it's generally mounted on stiff board to prevent curling. Fine detail and moderately shiny surface. So what we're not seeing here is that it might have had a little of a patina to it. Typically reddish to purple brown in the shadows, and deterioration highlights are yellow. So we do see that yellowing of the paper along.
Yeah.
And it was the manufacture of albumin paper required thousands of eggs. I have no idea what that means. An enormous industry flourished around it, employing many workers who employing many workers who broke eggs, beat the whites, and floated the paper on the albumin solution one sheet at a time. So that's how the paper was made.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was learning myself. But this was a really common printing process. So a lot of what you would see between probably 1850 and 1900 was this printing process.
Okay.
And we've got another view of Estes Park right outside Rocky Mountain National. Have any of you been to Estes Park before?
Myra and I had our honeymoon there.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yep, we loved it.
It's beautiful. Estes Park is home to the Stanley Inn, which if any of you are the Shining people, if you like scary movies and you saw the movie The Shining takes place in Estes Park.
I did not know that.
No, you can stay in the hotel. It's really spooky.
Yeah. I think we stayed at a Holiday Inn, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is just another beautiful view. I mean, what do you feel is the same or different about this than we've seen of other artworks so far?
This is more greenery.
Yeah. This looks like it's more springy or starting summer.
Mm-hmm.
But it resembles the pier stud.
Yeah, it gives you the same feeling as the first one we saw.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, no people, no houses. There would definitely have been houses up at this point. I mean, I'm telling you about a hotel that was there and built during Roosevelt's time. And Roosevelt actually stayed in that hotel. So it was very well populated by this point. And this is the same type of printing process we saw in the last photograph. But again, someone who's gone in and painted and colored to give Colorado some of that colorful love that it really has in real life. And then we've got one more, and this is another one of these stereo viewers, but it's kind of a different scene than what we've been seeing. This is taken in, I think I wrote it down.
82.
This might be in, this is in Montana. So this is a different part of, I think might be the Tetons, maybe, I'm not sure. But this is a mountain sheep. And so what are we seeing that feels kind of different about this than the other ones we've seen?
Well,
It's
It's dark.
dead. I think it's dead.
Dead.
no,
It's dead.
no trees, no nothing. I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's not
I'd
much
say-
romanticized about it, huh?
no,
Yeah.
it's not.
This was probably taken at a higher altitude too, also.
You're right. What makes you say that?
Because, well, it seems like we're closer to the top of the ridge
Mhm,
in the background,
mhm.
and
No
and it's
vegetation.
very barren. It's very barren. You know, I've been to a lot of several places in the Rocky Mountains, and when you get to this kind of scenery, it's pretty high up
It is, yeah.
Above
Got
the
little
tree
pockets
line.
of snow.
above the tree line. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Right. No, you're right. It is above the tree line. You were definitely right about that. And this dead animal. I mean, we've seen so many pictures so far of how beautiful the mountains are and how pristine and it's wildlife and wild flora and fauna and all this. And then this is totally different. You're seeing a dead mountain sheep.
It might appeal to hunters.
Mm-hmm. And this particular photographer, his name is Leighton, that he went by LA. He lived in Montana, and he was very interested in capturing the realness of the environment, not what you want to see in the environment. But so this was, I'm sure he was, a bit of a mountain guide himself. This was one of those things that he probably saw regularly if he's out hiking or just out photographing. Seeing the dead animals was something, I mean, you see that hunting, whatever.
Mhm.
So kind of different. And I'm not sure you'd really want to buy that particular thing to like relive this moment at home.
Mm-mm.
I mean, maybe some of you might. I don't know if I would, but maybe some of you all might. So yeah, so we have so many different pictures of mountains in our collection, and these are just some of the stereo view cards are really very, very common. Mountains were a very big deal, especially if you're thinking of the East Coast audience. But we have paintings, we have photographs, we have works on paper. This is mountains, especially are in the West. We don't really have anything of like the Appalachian. That's not so interesting. It's really what's out west. So those are our mountains for today.
So Peggy, I have a question.
Thank you.
Do you have any idea why they call these the stereo prints?
Because this is what it's called a stereo viewer. I don't know how that name came to be, but the stereograph was just the name assigned to it. I don't know the history of that word.
Yeah, that's kind of weird because stereos are usually applied to audio things.
Yeah.
Right. That's what
Yeah,
I was
no,
asking.
I don't know the history of how that term came to be.
I'm looking it up.
Hit us with the facts, Martha.
Oh, and it tries to send me to the Smithsonian and
Stereo, you have two speakers. And you have
Well,
two.
and then what is it? The Library of Congress has a very large collection of these, just because a lot of it was done for geological surveys and things like that. And so some of the stuff from the Library of Congress that these were collected by mostly middle-class families and teachers, and they started being produced in 1851. I think it's because it's cheap too. They were affordable, the paper's cheap. You're using eggs like we learned, so the overhead wasn't a lot. And then this was used until basically film came around. So all right,
Yeah,
friends.
I don't think. Go ahead.
No, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say that this doesn't the mountain sheep did not look like it had any bullet holes in it. It looked like it was a natural death or something like that.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing too with some of these is you don't know what's gone in and manipulated, because this film was manipulated, or could be, given the nature of it. So sometimes the way that an artist could go in and paint afterwards, sometimes negatives were laid in a certain way that it created maybe a different image than what truly was being photographed. But that to me, knowing how that artist actually was, he was very interested in depicting the realness of it. So I don't think he would have manipulated that scenario.
No.
All right, guys, I don't know again what we're doing next. Oh, we're doing horses next week. I looked ahead. We're doing horses next week. I mentioned we
Horses?
had horses. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we had an exhibition with Winslow Homer and Frederick Remington right now. So we're going to look at some of the
Nice.
pictures of horses that are on view.
Good.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'll see y'all soon. Be good.
All right.
You
bye.
too. Thanks a lot.
Bye bye.
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 Great program. Thank you so much.
Bye bye, Gail.
Oh, we
All
must-
right, let's see what's up for tomorrow.
Cookie conversations. Yay.
So tomorrow we get to bake again, and I'm looking for some suggestions. I've pulled out the book that I showed a couple of weeks ago, and I have some in there. And my daughter actually made a suggestion and asked if we had made thumbprint cookies yet.
Oh, yeah.
And thumbprint cookies can be made several different ways. I like to call them tea cookies. When I was in high school, there was a bakery that made them, and they're only about, an inch and a half in diameter.
Yeah.
And then they have frosting in the middle, like cake or cookie frosting in the center. But I'm open to some suggestions, and I have tagged a couple of recipes in this book that we looked at a couple weeks ago. So shall I tell you what some of those are, and then we can pick?
Yes, would you please?
Sure.
Okay, so there is a peach daiquiri cookie.
Yes. Okay.
Then there is a butterscotch and almond cookie.
Okay. Those look like real thin.
Yes, they do. They kind of look like the almond lace cookies that we did a while back.
Yeah.
And then this one is a lemon and sesame seed cookie.
Oh, that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'd vote for any one of those three.
Well, okay, what was the first one you showed in the book?
in the book,
Uh-huh.
It was a peach.
that was the peach daiquiri.
Okay, I don't know what, I have a hard time understanding what that would taste like.
Okay, well, let me read a
Maybe-
little bit of it.
Okay.
I can find it again. It has butter, sugar, zest of a lime, egg yolk, flour, salt, and a chopped dried peach.
Chopped dried peach.
Peach.
And then it has a white rum glaze.
Okay. It sounds like something you dip into your glass of rum to eat it with. So
No, they show it with what it looks like to be some kind of frappuccino or latte.
okay.
Chocolate is what's in the picture.
You know, I'm up for either that one or the lemon ones that you
The lemon
showed.
sesame,
Lemon,
this one.
Yeah.
lemon.
Anybody else have a thought?
I don't think I've ever seen dried peaches.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I figured I might have to go to Central Market or the Whole Food store to find dried peach.
How about you just use dried apricots instead of?
Yes, and we could. I love apricots. So
Got a lot of iron in them.
what's that, Paulette?
A lot of iron in them.
The apricots? That's good to know.
They're dried, yes. Iron content in dried fruit is fairly high.
So is sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So these lemon and sesame seed cookies have sesame seeds in the cookies, and then have a lemon glaze with lemon extract in it.
Okay,
Okay.
Why don't you
Sounds
do
good.
it easy?
that sounds good. Yeah.
What'd you say, Paulette?
I said, why don't you do the one that's easiest for you to fix?
I was just saying, there's no point in running all over town to get stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I'll see what I have for the lemon and sesame.
Okay,
And if I don't have that, then I'll pick one of the others. How about that?
okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we'll be singing again tomorrow.
Okay. Well, we have, let me tell you just a moment, if I can get my document up. To look at my calendar real quick.
Hey, Gail,
Yes.
I just want to say how much I enjoy this program and you do such a great job. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Thank you so much. February the 16th, Hans and Yetta, we will be making cookies on a Tuesday.
Okay, sounds good.
So that y'all will get to be here for the cookie baking.
Good.
Will there be Valentine's cookies?
I was thinking that, yes,
Yay.
On the 16th,
on the 16th of February.
Well, Valentine's Day is the 14th.
Well, it's close.
Then we'll have sugar overload.
Yes.
Yeah, hey.
All right.
All right.
All right, Gail, thank you.
Y'all have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.